Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Conscious Conversation. I am Juno, your host, and this is sponsored by the House of Age. We are welcoming today Jake. Jake, please say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Um, Jake, thank you so much for joining us today. Can you please introduce yourself and let everyone know, like, who you are, what's the vibe, all that stuff?
Yes, my name is Jake Waters. I am in the world of adult entertainment. I've been in it for a little over 6 years, and I absolutely love it. I was born in the Midwest, pretty much raised there, and I had a different outlook on what the adult industry was once I got into it, and the people who work in this industry is not what Hollywood makes it sound. And then there's a bit of a eye opener when it comes to all the different people I've worked with in the past. Like their different backgrounds, their different religions, they're like, going to school, graduating college. Some are literally rocket scientists who are like, you know what, I quit my job to do this. I'm like, wait, what? So
I
it's a very interesting field.
love that. I think we may have to talk off camera about like the idea of someone who was a rocket scientist because that's fascinating as fuck to me. Or just get them to come on. That works for me too. Just send them my way. Um, so welcome. Uh, I have a I have a question that opens all of these conversations, which is growing up when you were when you were a child and you're growing up, the realization that you were queer, how was that affected by the spirituality or religious practice you were being brought up in?
Mm. It was interesting because I always felt like I was different. I just didn't know what that different was. Growing up in the Midwest in a military household was it was normal for me. It's because it's all I knew. Um, but I knew I had the love and support of my family. It was just that unspoken fear. And then not only that, but not knowing if I truly was gay. Like, am I questioning this? Is it just a feeling? Did I see it on TV and I was like, okay, that's hot, but is it is it okay? Because going to church and the Bible says this is a sin, but how could it be if I feel this way so strongly? So I dabbled with that. But then I also a part of that was um I had a I don't want to say I had a challenging or difficult upbringing. There were the situations in my life that happened, and I was like, okay, am I feeling this way because of X, Y, and Z, or am I feeling this way because this is who I am? So it was it was a long road to get to where I am now, but I'm glad that I took the road.
Okay, so we're gonna zoom in on a couple parts of this.
Hmm.
So you said that when you were growing up, you were going to church and you could basically tell that like it was not the vibe to be queer. So how did you make heads or tails of that for yourself? Like how did you essentially say, "Oh yeah, this is actually something that I'm feeling and I kind of can't not do this," or like I can't push this down.
It was as I got older. As I started getting older and I started reading passages of the Bible, and I remember distinctly one of the I don't know what deacons, senior leaders of the church that we went to wanted me to be a part of like the junior deacons. And I was like, oh, okay, I mean, this is what you do. You're in a black family in a black church. This is what you do. And, but he was up there preaching one Sunday and he said something and it rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it was something like man shouldn't lie with man or something like that. And
You're
I'm
like, "Not on this day."
right. And I'm a strong believer that things happen for a reason. There is a reason why he preached that day. There was a reason why I was sitting there that day. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that to say no, that's not right. If you want to preach that God loves everyone, he made everyone in his perfect image, we're all children of God and all this other stuff, you can't then turn around and tell me that I'm wrong, that I'm going to hell and all this other stuff. If and then in the same breath say God made everyone perfect the way in his image. To me it didn't make sense. And then
You can't say there's this God that gives unconditional love and then create conditions around it,
exactly. It's like,
basically.
well, he loves you, but only if you're this, this, and that. If you happen to be anything other than that, it's a sin, you're going to hell. End of story. I'm like that it didn't sit right. And it never sat
Yeah.
right. And then I was watching it's funny because in our household, every Thursday night we watched Will and Grace. So,
Ah,
spot on. It was our
love.
like my parents, like we had Thursday night television and we watched that was the show. And like my dad, like 6'1", muscles, and this Marine sitting down watching Will and Grace and Jack and Karen and all that and just laughing his ass off. And I was sitting there and I'm like scratching my head. It's like, I'm so confused right now. But I was also sitting like, okay, is this my family's way of saying that, hey, it's okay? We know because everyone in my family knew when I came out, when I told them, they're like, yeah, we're just waiting
Yeah.
for you. I was like, oh, okay.
That was me too. That was fully me too. My mom, I mean, she wasn't quite like duh, but she was kind of like duh.
Like, okay. It only took you so long. But it was like,
Yeah.
but it's like, is this my was this my mom and my dad's way of telling me that it's okay? We got you, we're here for you, and we want to show you that we support you. And then God, I'm gonna age myself, but then I was also watching Showtime, Queer as Folk.
Yes, we love
And
Queer
then
as Folk.
my mom was happened to because it was late night, I think it came on Sundays, and sitting down and she happened to be up and I was watching it and she just looks over at me and she's like, who in their right mind would watch a show like this? 'Cause it happened to be it had just happened to be a club scene where it was just people doing drugs everywhere, people having sex in bathrooms and all this other stuff. And it was like, me? And she's like, mm. She's like, you know what? I think it's time for me to go to bed. And she went to bed. But I just knew I knew I was different and I knew sitting in church wasn't right for me. Well, it's not that I don't have a relationship with religion. It's just I have my own personal. I don't need to be in four walls with somebody standing in a pulpit telling me that I'm going to hell. I have
Yeah.
conversations with God or some almighty being. I don't know. To be honest, like religion to me is very. It's a book. It is literally a word to mouth story that has been passed down for years before someone wrote it down and then
Well, I think in a way that religion is spirituality that has been structured and there's been hierarchy created around it.
correct.
Whereas I don't love that. I love spirituality. I
Yeah,
love the study and understanding of divinity through like personal experience that is meaningful to a person. So yeah, I completely agree with you on like religion versus spirituality. Because
yeah, and then like
for me, I'm
if we're gonna have true religion and then the Catholic Church is the all being, and I say that because of the Roman Catholic Church and all that. But why
yeah,
hide? Why hide stuff? Why do you have these secret archives underneath the Vatican with all these missing chapters of the Bible because it doesn't fit your narrative? If it's supposed to
yeah,
be God's word, then put it out there for everyone to see, the good, bad, and the ugly. Let people
yeah,
make their own decisions. Don't give me a King James version of a Bible and tell me this is God's word. Like it doesn't make sense because he didn't approve of this. It's almost like now with the whole orange face Bible. And he's like, "Oh, this is my version of the
oh,
Bible."
it took me a minute.
Yeah.
It's like-
And I'm like, "How
yeah,
I don't understand that." So, but I almost forgot the original question because I went on this tangent. I'm so sorry.
That's totally fine. No, it was I I had asked you about I forget. But I do have I do have another question that I was think that came up for me when you were talking about this just now, which was you said that we were talking about how religion is structured and spirituality is more free form. So, at what point did you leave the organized religious structure that you were a part of and say, like, I'm going to figure this out on my own? And what did those first steps of figuring it out on your own look like?
I left as soon as I graduated high school and moved out of my parents' house. Like one of the
So,
rules,
you moved out at 18?
no, unfortunately not. Um, I graduated when I was 18. I think I moved out when I was 20. But even then, even as I still lived at home, I purposely worked on Sunday so I wouldn't have to go to church. So I kind of pissed my mom off a little
Ah.
bit. So that was my like little rebellion. But other like it was my parents' house, so I lived under their roof. And then one of their rules, if you're gonna be here, my mom is like, you're gonna go to church. My mom always wanted us to have some type of spiritual structure in our lives, regardless of how we viewed it. But as long as we were under her house or her roof, we went to church. But once I was able to say no without getting hit, um,
Yeah.
I, in a respectful way, I was saying no, tell my mom, hey, I had to work, or no, I'm just not feeling it, and she knew, because her we sat down and had a conversation, and um, I came out to I didn't come out to her until after I moved out, which was weird. But anyways, that's a different story. But once I started like really finding my voice and really understanding what religion is, or the spirituality was, when I had the free time on my own to do it, that's when I started like, okay, you know what? I'm going to set this book over here to the side and I'm going to go live life. I'm going to pray when I feel like I need to pray, which is interesting because every time I eat, I still pray. Like I was like, um, like before I take a bite of food, because it's like, oh no, if I don't do it, I'm going to choke. I don't know why, because it's been installed in me.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, also there's something nice about being grateful. If even if you're not speaking to God directly, just expressing gratitude for the thing that's about to fuel your body, it's like a
yeah,
really beautiful practice.
it is, and I find every time I do it, it's like, why am I doing this? It's like, is there truly a God? Is it? Am I doing this because it's a habit? Am I doing this because I don't want to choke? Am I doing this to? And there's so many questions that I do it, and I'm like, I'm overthinking this. Just eat. But once I moved out and I started living, I started hanging out with my friends. I started listening to other people. I started talking with other people of other religions. That's when my mind started opening up, and it's like, I don't understand how we have the Bible, we have the Quran, we have all these different religious books, but they're all pretty much saying the same thing. But
That's the
in
other part.
Yeah, and then but we as Americans want to hone in on just this one religion and try to cast out all these other religions like they're bad. Some of these religions go back older than Christianity, and it's like, how does that make sense? If if we have people, it's like Asia, they've been around forever. You have people in South America that they have their own religion. You have the Mayans; they had their own religion who didn't believe in a singular God. They had gods. India, people from India, they had multiple gods over different things. Who are we to say that they are wrong? Because someone who doesn't look like them jumped on a boat one day and said, "I claim you as you are now going to be Christian, and all these other things are spiritual evils and demons." Like, how is that possible? How do you just take over somebody else's country like that religiously?
Ego is wild.
No. So
Ego is wild.
it blew my mind, and I'm like, a part of my thinking, and I'm glad that you asked this, came out when I was actually in sixth grade. my sixth grade social studies teacher challenged us. And it wasn't, I didn't go to a religious school. She read the part of the Bible where it described what Jesus looked like and where the Bible was from. And she said, so tell me how this blonde hair, blue eyed man, based off the description I just read you, tell me how these are different. And it blew my mind. And
Racism.
wait, what? And then she's like, yeah,
Yeah.
in the Middle East. And I was like, there's no people that look like you over in the Middle East. And I lived in Missouri, so you can imagine what she looked like. But
I have a feeling, yeah.
she challenged us to think about it. I don't know if it impacted anyone else the way that it impacted me, but it really opened my mind to start questioning things. So, Miss Shields, if you see this, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, that's colonization and racism at its finest, right? Like, I, without getting too much on a soapbox
Yes.
about things, because I could I could really pop off on this specific subject. But uh, I think that the idea of how we like sticker whiteness and imperialism onto so many cultures, it's so damaging. And then there's this, and then there's people who are very, uh, I'm trying to not be really offensive right now. Breathing my way through it. But I also don't understand that there are some people that are like white or light skinned and they are like, oh, well, um I didn't do anything. Why should I XYZ? And I'm like, well, you benefited systemically. And you choosing to not acknowledge the systemic benefit that you experienced as a result of the color of your skin is wildly, like, it's also part of the problem. So I think until you're ready to look at the whole picture and not just go like, well, I didn't do anything, then you can't really have an honest conversation. And like,
Yeah.
you can't have an honest conversation around how not being able to see someone like yourself in a position of leadership or an aspect of a divinity or in things like that, it 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 makes you think that you can't do it because you can't kind of see it outside of yourself. You have nothing to model against. And
Yeah.
so when there's only one version of what the truth looks like, it becomes extremely limiting and it creates a power dynamic. And it's almost like creating this version of the truth is meant to disempower more people to keep the power in a small section. And
Yes.
that doesn't feel good to me. And that's
No.
done both yeah, like systemically in politics and with religion.
Oh,
It's like,
absolutely.
and that's just wild to me. I'm gonna
It,
get off
it
the soapbox before
it really is.
it's
So
bigger.
like I mentioned like the Mayans. The Mayans have been around. Their temples are still in South America or Central America, excuse me. I
Hmm.
believe that's where they are. Please, someone's gonna be like, you're an
Central.
idiot. That's not what you're talking about. But I was like, either way, it's over there. But
Yeah.
they had doctors, they have a calendar, they were able to build structures that we can't replicate today, and they had all their different gods and all that. How can you go to someone who is an ancestor of those people and then tell them that they were 100% wrong and this is the only way to think? And it's like you're trying to erase this person's culture. That's not right.
Yeah.
That's with any other culture than that, like other than like the European whites. It's like there are so even then there's still other different religion. People practice different religions. So it's like you're just coming in and like wiping out everything, regardless of we're just going to stick on the topic of religion and just telling all these people that they're wrong. But how can they have been so wrong when they had done so many other great things in the world? Make it make sense.
Facts.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense, and that's the thing. And I also I don't understand how then, and maybe this is the journey of queerness, and this is why queerness in is inherently a spiritual path, in my opinion. But like when you are benefiting from structures that are in place, and it's easier to not ask questions. Sometimes that's just the path you choose, but I think when you're a queer person, any type of a minority, any person of color, women, I think when the world is not clearly designed with you in mind, it gets to a breaking point where you can no longer say, okay, I'll shrink, or you could like shrink yourself tremendously to fit within the confines of the structure that's not built for you. But I think
Mhm.
ultimately we're here to ask questions and to expand the boundaries of what this reality looks like, right? Because this is
Yeah.
all just, if this is all just a simulation, or if this is all just a place for learning, which a lot of people have that thought process. I'm one of them. Um, like, I think that it's never your job to make yourself smaller to fit a structure. You're supposed to expand yourself to the point where the structure itself has no choice but to expand. I so I think that being queer is a spiritual journey of expansion in a way.
It is. It's very interesting because like growing up in a um black family and then going to a black church, um, there's a different power dynamic and there's a different structure. Like if you're gay in a black church, it is people know, but we don't talk about it. It has been like that for generations, and it's everyone knows because it's someone can you can Google this, you can look up different movies, you can do different. The choir director, if it's a male choir director, 9 times out of 10, he's on our side. He plays on our team,
Right.
but nobody says anything because the choir is on point. And no,
We know
everyone
how to
kind
put on the show.
yes, and and then most people will be like, oh my God, this choir director did X, Y, and Z, but then someone's like, well, he's a little. It's like it doesn't matter as long as but it's like as long as they stayed in that choir director or whoever, you were the choir director, you stayed in your box, you were fine. That's all you could do though.
Yeah,
And that
yeah, yeah.
person knew that you couldn't go up, you couldn't teach Sunday school because you're around the kids and you don't want it to rub off on the children. You couldn't be a preacher, you couldn't be a deacon, you couldn't have any like authority. But music, we could do. That's it.
Well, I think that in many ways, like the thing that people are hating on around queerness is actually just another form of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Misogyny. That's the word.
Absolutely.
It's another manifestation of how we hate women, or how people hate women. I
Well,
don't hate women.
I will say yes, but I will also say when it comes to, and I can't speak for other cultures and stuff like, but in ours, it goes back to slavery. It goes back to what we call buck breaking. So if someone who was showing out, like let's say you had this really strong field hand, big, muscular, it was like in like our modern day would be like let's say like a Michael B. Jordan or some other fine
Oh, hello.
man that you can think of.
You
The
said Michael B. Jordan. I said, oh, hello.
yeah, I saw, but the overseer would come in and basically rape this man in front of everyone to show his authority, and that's what we call buck breaking. And that was brought into the church. So there's like so in our culture, man lying with another man, it's almost sinful. It goes back to that time frame, and it was just passed on generation after generation. So that's why it was very you can be choir director, but that's about it because showing someone an authority doesn't sit well. Very and yeah, it's interesting how much homosexuality and the black culture almost go hand in hand, but they're separated. I love
I don't
learning
think,
about stuff like that.
but I don't think we like that we need to be separated. That's the other thing.
We, d-
And
we don't.
I always, I always think about the movie Ants, which is like, I hate to like make Disney or Pixar or whatever a way to learn lessons, but like when the ants rise up against the grasshoppers, they're like, we outnumber them 1,000 to 1 or whatever it is. And I'm like, that's the thing. Like in unity, we are all
Mhm.
powerful. So like, why are I don't see the y- to be part of a whole experience or to come together does not negate your individualness. It makes that individualness stronger and more galvanized. So I don't understand a lot of the fracturing that happens.
I don't get it
When
either. There are some churches who are who have been opening their doors, especially a lot of black churches and a lot of preachers who are speaking out against it. And he's like, I don't care who you are. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care what you do because the God that I serve said he loves everybody. And he's like, so all of y'all who are in here who know, and everyone knows, and this going back to the choir director, that the choir director does it. He brings the choir every week. He does everything else. And then y'all know, but no one wants to say anything. You should be giving that person as much love inside and outside the church that you do anyone else. And he goes, and if you can't do that in my church, then get out. He goes, I love everyone. And I was
I
like,
live.
oh, and I saw that online and I was just like, I don't know who this man is, but I started following him on Instagram. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for finally saying the quiet part out loud in a positive way. Because we are here and
Hmm.
it's like you can't and it's almost like you can't be gay and religious at the same time. It's like, but I don't understand. Again, make it make sense. And then like people are opening their doors and my mom is very she was one of those people because she kind of fell into I don't want to say a cult like church, but started listening to the wrong people. And
Hmm.
her and I had a bit of a falling out one night over the phone. Like I was in tears, and she's like trying to defend what she was saying because too late. I didn't go. I wasn't there. My sister called me and told me, and then this is when I called my mom. But two young ladies showed up to church, sat next to each other, and for whatever reason, the bishop decided to switch his sermon up and then started talking about same-sex couples and they couldn't be this. These people must have demons inside of them and we need to pray for them and get rid of the demons and all this other stuff. And my sister called me immediately because like while it's going on, and she's like, and put it on speaker. She's like, "Do you hear this?" And I was like, "Wait, is this the same bishop that who's always wants me to come up and sing and shaking my hand and knowing that I'm gay? Like, I'm not hiding it. This is the
Yeah.
same man who's preaching this right now." And he goes like, "Yeah." I go, "What's mom saying?" I go, "Did you guys get up and leave?" She goes, "Oh, mom's clapping her hands and standing." I said, "Oh no." So I waited. I called her and I said, "So what happened
Not
today at
on
church?"
this day.
And I because I want to I'm only getting one side of the story. So I wanted to hear it from my mom, and my
Yeah.
mom's like, "Oh yeah." So it's like there's you always started talking about this and demons, and I said, "Hold up now." I said, "He was talking about me." I said, "So are you believing that there's a demon inside me that needs to be prayed away?" I said, "You raised me. So it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that you would stand there and listen to this man talk so badly about me. And then once wants me to donate money to his church. He wants me to sing at all of these events. He wants me. Why would I do that if this man is literally turning around and stabbing me in the back?" So we went hours, and I think once she understood where I was coming from, it hit her. Because the next day she came over and we just sat and we had a good conversation. She's like, "I never meant that." She goes, "I was just listening and I just got caught up." And it's like, I understand, but you have to realize when people are speaking hate like that, they're talking about me and everyone else who's like me. We're all not bad people. Yeah, there are bad people regardless of what sexuality there are, but that doesn't make what we're doing a sin. And
Yeah.
we had a little bit of a falling out. We got back together, and like my mom is my best friend, but it just took that for us to have that conversation. And we sit some days and we'll talk about. She'll call me. She'll, "Oh my god, today at church we talked about this and that." And I listen. I was like, I'm not going to be disrespectful, and I listen. And I was like, this didn't really happen, right? And she's, I do it just to piss her off. She's like, "God damn it!" She's like, "Would you just stop?" I'm like, "Yes, mom."
So, wait, I have a question for you. now you've exited that space completely. What does your spiritual practice look like after you leave that? What is your spiritual practice like now? How did you get to where you are with that now?
I really honed in on the things happen for a reason. There's a reason why things happen. That it's cause and effect. It's not. I don't think it's a higher power. I think it's just cause and effect. Um, I do X, Y, and Z. Here are my results. If I jump in my car and drive and speed down the road, there's a good chance I may get a speeding ticket. Cause and effect. Um, Lining up certain ways. The universe put I put it out in the universe and it happens, and it'll happen when it happens. I don't pray for things. I don't seek a higher balance. There are sometimes I sit and I talk to myself, and potentially someone is listening. I don't know. I'm still kind of in that weird, do I believe in do I believe in God? Do I believe in a higher power? Do I believe in Jesus? Do I believe that one man was born so many years ago to who died for all of our sins? Do I believe that some woman miraculously got pregnant and had a savior? If so, why hasn't it happened again? We've never heard of this happening before or after that. So I get all these questions, and some days I just sit and think, and some days I just like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. Let it go. What's going to happen is going to happen.
Well, so you bring up something interesting for me. And you said that you talk to yourself or you talk to the universe and you're kind of still figuring out what that means for you. So would you mind, to your level of comfort, explaining kind of where those feelings come from for you and like where you're at with that? Like when you are saying self, higher self, universe, what does that feel like? Because really, you're kind of like, I don't want to say, it seems like you have a real deep relationship with the concept of surrender because you were like cause and effect, but ultimately it's like saying, like, so what is, because I definitely think there's something higher, we'll say that, because
Mhm.
like that's how we measure it. We measure things as if it's like in the sky. I think it's all
Yeah.
right here. But um, I also think that when it comes to divinity or source consciousness or like whatever the core thing is that ties us all together, I think that there's something, but it's not it's not any of the things that we call it. I think
Mhm.
essentially it's this one thing, and then whatever mask makes it easier for you to understand is the thing that you talk to and you go with. Because like you were saying, like with Hinduism, there's all these different deities. With like Greek and Roman mythological systems, Hellenistic belief structures, there were all these deities. And then as we kind of moved forward, the, and that was colonized, there became this like one thing that everyone is supposed to say is the thing. But I don't think that that's accurate. I think that with indigenous uh, cultures and First Nation cultures and belief structures that were very much of the kind of like of the land and of the like the body earth relation, you see divinity in all different forms, whether that be like male, female, two-spirited, all of these like different manifestations of what divinity can look like. And I think that it's all the same thing. It's just how you need to understand it so that it works in your body. If that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes. Um, for me to get to where I am now, it took years of battling my inner demons, so to say. Like
Hmm.
growing up 20 plus years going to church, and it's like, how do I just turn that off? You don't. So there's still that
Yeah.
struggle. I struggled a little bit with being gay. And like, is this right? Because this book says it's wrong, and all of these people on TV are telling me it's wrong, but it feels so right. So it took years to get out of that, and then I had to move. I moved to St. When I lived in Kansas City at the time, I moved to St. Louis to kind of get away from that structure and to kind of really find myself and voice. And it was something that I needed, and it was also something that strengthened me. I got into a horrible relationship for 6 years, and but it allowed me to find my voice again. It allowed me to really believe in me and what I can do. And fast forward to, oh God, it's been almost like 20 years. God, I'm old. Um,
Well,
and it was just like I
you
had,
look great.
thank you,
God
I
bless.
appreciate that. Um, I had to, I truly had to just let go. I had to just let go, and it's like the phrase in the church, like "let go and let God." I just had to just let go, and that's where I
Yeah.
really believe it's. I found that things will happen when they need to happen. There are people like, oh, I want a new car, I want a new job, I want this, I want that, and it's like it says, be careful what you ask for because sometimes it may give it to you when you don't need it, or things will show up
Mm.
when it's supposed to happen, and that is what I had to do. I was like, I'm on this journey of life. How long I'm going to be here, I don't know. But while I'm here, I'm not going to stress about the things that are out of my control. When it's going to happen for me, it'll happen. I'm not, that doesn't mean I'm just sitting back waiting for opportunity to knock on my door. Sometimes I have to go knock on its door. I have to put one foot in front of the other and walk. Praying about something isn't going to get it done. Hard work, determination, and preparation will get me to what I need. Again, things will happen when it's supposed to happen without putting a religion or praying to one particular person to do it for me.
Well, I think you bring up something really interesting because you're essentially saying that intention is not enough alone. And I agree with that.
Mhm.
But I think that it's the combination of intention and aligned action that really brings things into coherence and brings things forward. And I think that a lot of people kind of miss that part about spirituality or manifestation or whatever you want to call it. Or it yes, it is enough to want something and to surrender to. It'll happen when it's meant to happen. But there also has to be the participation from you to buy
Yes.
into that, to make it
Mhm.
happen.
Yeah.
And so I think I I don't know why or where that became so confusing for people. Like you actually need to move towards your thing. But that's something that I think for some reason is missed right now. Um, I have a question. So, are you a person that believes in reincarnation?
That's interesting. Yes and no. I don't know why. And it's I want to say I'm 60/40. 60/40, yes. I'm yes, I do for some people, but not everyone.
Well, I mean, arguably, if you believe in reincarnation and the concept of like a heaven, then that brings in the concept of nirvana, which brings in the concept of like enlightenment and this final destination place that like some people achieve through spiritual enlightenment and rapturing and whatever else you want to call it. But so the 40% that's the no, or you're saying like there are some people that don't come back essentially. Um, what do you think happens when you don't come back anymore? What do you think that's like?
I think it's just, you're just done. Like with anything, I think it's just you you're done. Like I think I don't know, it's just so weird to
You're
talk.
done.
I've never really talked about it out loud. It's like I think good people will have opportunities to have multiple lives. That it's weird,
Oh,
but that's
interesting.
the thing. And I don't mean good like you live by the golden rule every day. Like you're not a serial killer. You're not just going out here just murdering people. You're not Jeffrey Dahming people. This off the you so like those type of people like they may have come back and like they're fucked up in the head. So like no, you we don't need any more of you. But you know, you got shortchanged in your life. Something tragic happened to you where you didn't get to live out your full potential. You get a second chance at life, and whatever that may be. But it's, what do you come back as? Do you come back as another human? Do you come back as a pet? Do you come back as a bug? So that's where it's like I'm so confused. Like, if you read, but
Yeah.
yeah, what do you come back as? You come back as another version of yourself, but in a different, but female this time. Do you come back rich? Are you born into a rich family? Do those memories from past lives stay with you? And maybe that is where like deja vu comes from. Or people who say that they're psychics, like, oh, I have psychic ability. And do you? Or like, you're, when you're dreaming or you're in this state of mind, you're revisiting moments in time that have passed. I don't know.
Well, when
That's
you put it that way, like about that, it kind of brings up a question for me, which is because you brought up psychics and visions and stuff like that, and I have a belief. This is my personal BS, my personal belief system, that we are all one organism, kind of experiencing itself from as many different perspectives as possible. So
okay.
I think divinity is in absolutely everything, whether it be like this chocolate bar, my phone, this microphone, you, the wall behind you, me, the camera, the computers we're on, all of that. I think it's all one thing that is no thing experiencing itself from a million different perspectives. And the other way that I explain that is like I kind of visualize it like a sea anemone where there's this base consciousness and then there's a whole bunch of tentacles just like floating off of it like in the water experiencing themselves. And they think that they're not connected. They're under the illusion of separation, but actually we're all just this base consciousness kind of like being like, oh, what is it like to paint my nails this color? Or oh, what's it like to have my skin color be this? Or what's it like to rule the world or destroy the world or XYZ? Or like, I think that it's all like consciousness experiencing itself. That's my relationship to divinity. And also when I started looking at life that way, it really put me in a sense of peace with like everything and everyone because I was like, oh well, if it's just a different version of the thing that I am, it's just filling a different need that I'm not even aware of necessarily.
That's interesting. I was at work one day. This is and something happened, and this has happened to me several times in my life, where I will have a dream about something, and somehow whatever it is that I dreamed comes true. Like, I've seen it. Like, it pops up in my life. Um why would he, hold on one second. Sorry. Like, I'm like in the middle of this and he sends me a text message. Okay, sorry. But like, it'll happen, and I said it, and I said deja vu out loud one day, and this guy sitting behind me goes, "What did you say?" I said deja vu. He goes, "Do you know what that means?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "What that means is you're exactly where you're supposed to be in life." And he goes, "So if you saw this in a vision or a dream or whatnot, and it comes true, you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now in life." And I shit you not, I turned around to go back to what I was doing, and I didn't pay that much attention to it. And then I replayed what he said in my head. I was like, that makes sense. And I turned around to say thank you. He was gone.
On.
Like, nowhere to, nowhere to be seen. And the person that was standing next to me, I said, "Where did that guy go that was standing right here?" And he goes, "There's been nobody here." Like, there was literally a man
And you were like,
sitting.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, there was literally a man sitting right here. He's like, they're like, there's nobody here. I was like, okay, this man must have just got up and gone to the bathroom when you didn't see. I was like, there's no way that. So I'm like, again, I don't know what
You're like,
happened, but
you are not gaslighting me on this day
yeah, and I was
to,
like this,
to the other person.
yeah, and I was like this was 2005. So over 20 years ago, and ever since that man told me that story or said that to me, I have always believed that. So every time I have one of these deja vu moments, and I've told my husband about this, we were sitting somewhere and I go, I've had this in a dream. He goes, no, you didn't. I go, watch that lady drop a glass. And she dropped it. He goes, I hate you right now and I'm scared of you. And I go, but and I told him, but then I told him the story of and he goes, so that means we were supposed to get married. I'm supposed to be in your life. I said, absolutely. I said, if you're sitting here right now and I'm having this conversation with you, then, yes, it was. And this is why I say things in life happen for a reason. This is part of my whole, that's why it's like, I don't know if there's a God or a higher being, but I just like, I'm gonna let go and let see what happens and follow the path
Yeah,
that I'm on. And trusting my gut. I don't do it very well. I don't do it well at all. But like if I have a strong feeling for something, I'm gonna go for it because I think it's my way and the universe's way is telling me that this is where you're supposed to go. This is the path that you're supposed to be on. And when I don't do something that I know I shouldn't be doing, cause and effect. I feel the negative side of that. And it's like, damn it, I knew this was wrong, but I chose to be an asshole or I chose to do something I know I shouldn't be doing.
yeah. I think that that's also something that some religious institutions do, which is they kind of separate the body from the spiritual experience. And I think that in many ways that's done to kind of intentionally or unintentionally just disempower people. Because if you're out of the body the whole time and you're not really able to hear your gut say something to you or feel it in your nervous system, like if you can't feel things land because you're always in like fight or flight, for example, then I mean, just saying, if you can't feel things land in the body, you don't have like the ability to follow that North Star, that compass inside that says, do this thing, don't do this thing. This is safe, this is not safe. And I think that when religions or religious organizations or structures like that cut queer people out of the experience or suppress queerness, in a way, they're denying part of the human experience, you can unless you find your own path and you find your way to that thing, uh, I think it can be very damaging for humans. Not
Yeah,
that I'm
I
not a
mean,
human, but you
but
know.
it goes back to you're literally erasing a group of people because it doesn't fit your narrative. Let's go back to the Romans, their bathhouse. There are several stories and um, historical documents where men lied with men before they went to battle, and they had wives, they had boys, they had. When I say boys, it's like not what I mean for
Yeah,
those
yeah.
who are watching, but they had, but it was never, they never looked at it as straight gay. It was a loving and open relationship that they shared, and that was their belief until someone came in and took all that away and like, nope, this is wrong. You can't do this now. And it's like, but why? There are
Also,
stories.
based on my understanding, and I could be incorrect, and I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments if I am, um, which we love respectful comment engagement. Those that are not respectful get blocked. But so
Yeah. Yeah. If
just
we ever say, and this is, I say this on my Instagram, like, if I ever say anything that's incorrect, just say, hey, that's not quite factual. And I try to make sure that anything that I say, I've actually looked up and researched. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You don't have to be an asshole and call me out or to say, hey, I don't think that's right. Here's something. I will gladly apologize and say, you know what? I was wrong.
yeah. But for me, I believe from what I remember from art history was that in like Greco-Roman times, when men would go to battle, yeah, they would be intimate together because it would um kind of bond them in a way where I mean even chemically like it creates oxytocin. Oxytocin is a bonding chemical. It literally tells the nervous system that this person is important to you. This person is like part
Hmm.
of your experience. And so people believed that they fought harder and like fought
Yes.
more intensely and with more like valor for the cause when they were intimate with the people in their platoon or their whatever. And I
Right.
think that like it's it's this excuse my French, this is like bullshit sexual repression that everyone is I just don't I can't put it to words because it's just frustrating and insane to me.
Yeah,
But
it's like,
like
but no, I read, no, that is actually, I read that. It was one of my college history classes where they did that. And it wasn't like it wasn't gay, so to say. It was just basically you are going to fight harder to protect your lover in quote unquote words, but your other half than you would just going to battle alone. This is your brother at arms. You are going to fight harder to protect them. And that was, there wasn't a label on it other than we're warriors and we are going to
yeah.
protect each other and we're going to protect our city or country or whatever the case may be.
And I think labels are a really double-edged sword, right? Because labels are great for helping you find your place in the world and helping to create identity and things like that. But I think when we over relate to a label or we kind of make that label the one defining thing, it works in the opposite way, right? It no longer brings people together through identification, it separates people.
Yes.
So I think if anything, what what maybe people need to start identifying as is human first. Like I'm pro a human first experience, and then all the other identifiers can come underneath that. But I would love to reach a point where we all just look at each other and go like, "That's a fellow human, and I love them because they're a human too."
Yes.
Like,
Well, I think it's very interesting because growing up in the Midwest, you had, let's bring it like it was, you were either straight and married or you were gay. There was no other, there is no anything else. There was no trans, there's no bi. They're like, oh, these are people that were just confused. We don't know what they are. These are whatever name that you want to put on them. But then look what that has, putting those labels on people, look what has done to people's houses. You have men out here who are married to women who are gay, but because of the quote unquote gay, you can't be in a relationship. You can't hold a job. You can't do this because all of the negative stereotypes that go along with it. So you have all of these men and women who are in marriages, who are unhappy, who have kids, and then they get divorced because now they're like, you know what? I'm going to be me, damn the consequences. If these people were allowed to be who they were many years ago without all these different labels and stereotypes and a negative commentary that goes with it, our world would be so much better. Everyone
yeah.
would be happier. But because of religion, we put a cap on everything like, oh, well, let's bottle this feeling up that you have for this other person and throw it away. And if it comes up, it's wrong. But then you have, look at all of these um, men and women who are on the DL. I don't know if that's, if people still use that term. Who are
I'm pretty sure they do.
closeted because they can, and unhappy, or committing suicide, or harming themselves with drugs and alcohol because of religion, because they are afraid to be who they are because they'll be cast out by their family, their loved ones, their jobs, their maybe even their kids now. And it's so harmful. I think religion has done so much more harm than anything, any war, any disease, or any gun violence out there. It's religion is the number one. That's my belief. You don't have to believe it or not. That's just how I feel.
Well, I mean, religion has incited much violence and war and stuff like that. That's the other part. So,
Hmm.
like, re- religion has been the root of many world world events and things like that. So, I I do agree with you, but I think that it's not even so much. it's not the spirit of religion, it is the it is not it's not the spirit of what religions are based on. It is the colonized industrial
Yes.
capitalistic approach to systematizing spirituality that is the problem
Yeah, absolutely.
universally.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
so
if you don't,
I like to keep oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I would say I like to keep these around an hour, and we're getting close to an hour now.
Oh
So
wow.
I was gonna, all right, that went really quick. I didn't even notice until I looked at, I was like, what's the record time on this? And I was like, oh shit. So I'm gonna ask you to bring us out with a thought around like spirituality or how to kind of be in your most empowered self or whatever speaks to you. And then after that, I'll ask you to like um tell people how to get in touch with you if you want people to get in touch with you at all, and if not, that's fine too.
Okay.
And then, and then we're gonna say goodbye, and then I'll say goodbye to you off air privately.
Okay. Um, when people watch this or watch anything that I do, what I want you to take away is be you. Find what makes you happy, not everyone else. I struggled with that for years. I tried to make everyone else around me happy and I was miserable. Once I was able to find my voice, find my true center, I was so much happier. I did things that helped me. I still helped other people, still want people to be happy. Don't get me wrong. Don't just cut people out of your life, but do what makes you feel good. Will other people, it may rub other people the wrong way. Other people may not understand it, but as long as you do it with your whole heart. You're doing it because you want to do it. You'll be so much happier. Um, and if it's religion, find a religion that speaks to you. If it's just sitting down and meditating, if it's working out, if it's reading a good book, if it's journaling, whatever it is that makes you feel good without harming other people. It's a caveat on that.
Caveat, yeah.
Or yourself, because some people can overindulge. Just be happy. Life is too short, and you don't know when you're going to take that last breath. And try not to have any regrets. And if you have harmed someone, but with your words, because you didn't understand where they were coming from, reach out to that person and just apologize. Just be the bigger person. Just I say that because right now it's the holiday season. And I'm out here in California with family, and it breaks my heart that I have a few family members who aren't getting along or talking to each other based off of words. Someone said something, this other person said something, and it's all being funneled through somebody else. It's like to sit down and have a conversation. We're family. Let's get. I don't want to say kumbaya, but let's come back together. Let's come back as dinner. Have that harsh, and it may sit down. You may have to sit down with someone and have a harsh conversation. They may say things you don't want to hear, but you have to listen and listen to understand. Don't listen to respond. That is the biggest thing that pisses me off. Like if you're going to sit down and have a conversation with someone, listen to what they're telling you. If you start to respond to what they're telling you in your head, you stop listening. So that's my
Yeah,
thing.
that's very true. Well, thank you so much, Jake. It's been super wonderful having you here. I really appreciate you
Thank
taking the
you.
time.
Yes, I appreciate it. I
Can
love
you
types of things.
can you like if anyone wants to get in touch with you for whatever
Oh yeah,
reason, do you want to throw information out there or no? That's
yeah. All
okay
my
too.
my social. So I'm on Twitter. I refuse to call it the whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it'll be Twitter and Instagram. It's Jake underscore Waters XX. That's how you can find me.
Yay, thank you, Jake. All right. Now just wave bye to everyone and I'm gonna turn off the recording.
Bye.
Bye.
And I hope you enjoyed this.